Well, we know there's plenty of characters in cycling. Let's take a look at one now who's gone from courier to collector.
What is fyxomatosis all about? Well, I suppose I should go back 10 years when I was a bike courier in San Fran. I started making t-shirts for friends and then more friends, and then when I came home I was making more t-shirts, and I had a website and I was taking photos of pretty girls on my bike, and that led to my first photography exhibition. And then I started making bikes for friends, and then I put on bicycle events for people, and I suppose fyxomatosis was the name I gave to the things that I did as my brand. Melbourne-Roubaix is the best day on a bicycle you will ever have. That's what people tell me. They say it is the most fun they've ever had since they ever jumped on a bike as a kid and rode around and explored with their mates. I fell into being a bike courier. I was working in a marketing job in London, which my contract ended, and I thought what a great job it would be to ride a bike all around town, discover the city and get paid. So I picked up Time Out magazine, and in the back it said, bike couriers wanted, good English required. Rang them up, next day I was working, and that was it, never looked back. I suppose from my own perspective, I made it the ultimate job because I travelled around the world doing it. I worked in London, New York, San Fran, Vancouver. The community I found in San Fran was amazing. I couldn't find a job, and they refused to let me move back to Canada without getting me a job. They said, no, we'll find you a job. And they said, go to this lady, take her a box of donuts and tell her you want a job. And her name was Maria, and I took her a box of donuts, and sure enough, I got a job. And that's how I got my job in San Francisco. Popularity in fixie culture and track bikes, I suppose I'm part of that through my website, glamorizing it through photography. I think it's like any pop culture that becomes popular, whether it's skateboarding or whether it's rollerblading. But for people who've never ridden one before, it's like candy, you know, like, oh, this is sweet, this is great. And it's been often referred to as a gateway drug to all other forms of cycling. Who knows if the next future champion of the Tour de France or Australian cyclist got their first bike that was like a fixie. For the last 10 years I've been collecting bikes, and the thing I love about them is they're a real point in time in cycling history, and I love recreating that point in time to imagine that you just stepped into like a time machine and taken a trip back to 1989, walked into the bike shop and bought the best bike available at the time. So it's not only a beautiful thing to look at, but you can ride it and enjoy it, so it's that rideable art. 6 years ago, I was out training up Hume doing my favourite ride, and my front wheel came out from beneath me, and I went over the handlebars and landed on my head very severely. Like I felt my brain rattle. And at the time, I wiggled my toes to see if I'd broken my neck, because that's the first thing you think of when you land on your head that hard. And because I could feel my toes and I could get up and walk, I didn't really think anything of it. But I had broken my neck, and I subsequently ended up in hospital, and I was in a halo for 3 months. And that definitely gave me an injection of mortality that I'm not bulletproof. You know, you should never take a simple thing like being able to walk for granted, because it's a real gift and a privilege. I would say one of the things that I love about steel bikes is knowing that there is very little chance of catastrophic failure. And one of the things that stops me from getting carbon handlebars or carbon wheels is that image of the dog running across the road in the Tour de France and the wheel just exploding. Like, I've had enough accidents in my life. If I can eliminate my equipment from doing that to me, then I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to go with a nicely hand-built set of wheels and a steel frame and go from there. But I mean, I do have a carbon bike, but I do often wonder when I bunny hop it and land pretty hard, is that how many times can I get away with that before it does just go boom?